Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
Hey guys, welcome in, welcome in, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. How's everyone doing? Wrong eyebrows. That is true. You know they exist. I actually stole the title from old Joseph Scott Morgan himself. So we're gonna find out together what it means, because I was reading it and I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But at least I'll admit it. Hey, we'll admit it over here. We'll admit it. No, I did. I really don't really. After I read it, I was like, does this mean he's guilty, but he's going to be let off? Like, I don't know. I think everyone's interpretation of OJ, the OJ trial, is different. I don't know. I think we were all there for the same trial, but I was only a kid, so I don't really remember it too much. But I do remember it being played in the house. That's for sure. No wonders why I'm into true crime. Hey, Princess Elsa. Hey, Kathy. How's everybody doing tonight? If you're new to the channel and you're like, who's this lady that's talking? My name's Tanya, or TitaniumBuilt. You can call me either or. I don't prefer one over the other one, so I don't mind either way. Whatever's easier for you guys to remember. Sometimes it's easier to remember Tanya. It's short. It's to the point. It's my name. But then other people just, they're like, oh, that's TitaniumBuilt, because that's what I put in the chat. So, or I'm under my other account, Unfiltered. If you're not subscribed over there, you should be. Members Live. Yes, Members Live tomorrow. Hey, Lord Mama, how you doing? Got Kathy in here. We got Ladybug in here. We got the whole crew in here tonight. Where's DM? DM's in here somewhere. So let's see. Hey, Claw, how you doing? Hopefully you guys are having a good start to your week. I switched to live, actually. So my brain's like, in 2 different lives right now because I was going to do a different live, and I don't even know what we're going to go over now that I'm talking about it. Now that I'm saying I have 2 lives in my brain, I've got like 50 lives in my brain. We were going to go over the podcast, and the next one that we're going to be watching is called like Life or Death, and it's about, the death penalty and stuff. So I had a bunch of stuff pulled up from like documents when they first filed for the DP and when they first filed, and all that stuff. So that'll be probably tomorrow night's live. So yeah. Hey, Princess Elsa. I don't know if I said hey to you. I think I did. Hey, Willows. So that's what I was getting at. I saw Joseph Scott Morgan was coming on tonight, and I knew the ladies like him. So especially our girl Ashley. I was like, if I don't play this and she finds out it's out there, she's gonna be like, where is it? We need a Joseph Scott Morgan cardboard cutout, since everyone just loves my Nancy one, I should just put her up just for funsies. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm still going through the chat. Hey, Captain. Hey, Jog. Good to see ya. Aw, good. I'm glad you liked it. Thanks. Hey, baby girl. I wasn't sure when I was going to be on tonight. It was we forgot taco shells of all things. If you guys can believe that. Earlier when I posted on our community post I was going to come on at 9:35, yeah. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, hey Doodlebug. Hey True Crime Lullabies. Getting ready for bed." That's what I do after my live. Like I settle in, I go into someone's live and then I'm like, "Getting ready for bed." Hey Pete. And then I miss people in the chat. So then I'm like in the chat because then I don't want to miss people. I feel bad because I do miss you guys sometimes. Like I'll sit my phone down or just be doing stuff. Hey Petunia. Hey Machachi. And you know they exist. Welcome in. Hey Dion. Oh, thunderstorm watch. Oh, it rained here a little bit. Wasn't enough to put me to sleep or anything. Hey Amanda, welcome in. I'm doing great, Claw. Thanks for asking. Doing pretty darn good today. Can't complain. Really can't complain. Hey, Frenchie. I'm like, not even a little bit. Not even. I'm trying to think of something. Nothing. Oh, I will tell you this. It's not really a complaint. It's kind of for the complaint line. It's TANYA. Hey Lenora. This is kind of, I guess, for the complaint line. We've been here. Hey, Mary Beth. We've been in this unit for 8 years, going on 8 years. It's been a long time. It's been a long road. We're not moving or anything like that. Hey, Yvonne, but they moved in the 2 dogs downstairs, remember? So that we know how that worked out, right? Well, then the neighbor beside them, he got the cutest little fluffy dog. Like it's like a medium-sized dog. And you could tell, I think he rescued it or something maybe, but it's like really pretty though. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's an older dog. So it looks like it's a rescue, but it just looks so put together. You know what I mean? You know how those rescue dogs, I got rescue. I know how they all usually are pit bulls. So, or have a part of that in. Yep, see? She moved her head. She knows I'm talking about her. So they have a dog. And so now I can't go to the right or the left. When I go out, I have to go straight. Well, they just moved in somebody across the hall with a dog. We live in these little tucked in corners. So if we come out our doors, we're like stuck back here. We're like in a hallway of our own. So, hey, Felicia. So I'm telling y'all now. I'm nervous. I might put kind of want to put a note on the door, like my schedule that I take the dogs out. But like, is that rude? Do you think I'd be rude? That might be kind of rude. Maybe I'll see him at the pool. I just don't want our dogs to come out in that hallway at the same time. Oh my gosh, that'd make me nervous wreck. You'll hear me over here screaming one day, like, I just don't understand. But I mean, we have new people that, so our, like where we used to, I'm trying to move my tabs as I'm talking, but where we used to have just nobody there with an animal, we never had this problem. So they've gotten new management and everything. So I think that's probably why. They just don't know. They don't know about us over here. We crazy over here in this apartment. So starting out the live, there was one small document. I mean, literally, if you could think of the smallest document They printed it today, but it was an order sealing the order. Okay, I don't know. If we were going over like a bunch of documents, this right here would probably make my eyes go like cross-eyed, because it says the sealed order, staying order, dated June 9th, 2025, is sealed pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32 G1 32 I3A 4 and 6, and the Idaho Code Title 19 Chapter 11. So I was like, okay, what are all those things? Like, what does it mean? So I went to Google, of course, because that's where, I go for all my legal information. we don't have a lawyer on retainer yet. So actually I do, but I'm not calling him for this. But this would be what it means. So I thought that this was kind of the Title 19 Chapter 11 part was pretty interesting. That it says the reference relate to Idaho court records and their access and disclosure, including exemptions and limitations. Specifically, Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32 G1 covers records restricted by state or federal law. Section 32 I3A outlines determinations the court must make before redacting or sealing records. Finally, Title 19, Chapter 11 of the Idaho Code likely deals with criminal procedure and related matters. And down here it says, while not directly referenced in the provided search results, Title 19, Chapter 11 of the Idaho Code likely deals with aspects of criminal procedure, including plea agreements, sentencing, and appeals, which may intersect with access to court records. So I don't know what it means, but I don't like whenever I see the words, plea agreements, sentencing. I don't know. I wonder what it means, though. Oh, I don't have it up for you guys. Sorry. Thought I did. Thought I'd up for you. I'm just like reading, and you guys are like, what is she even reading? But so I really don't know what, like, they're just sealing the document, or they're just sealing the hearing and the document. So we'll find out August 11th or later. Between August 11th and November 7th, we'll find out. Maybe, hopefully. Now, there are things that we probably won't find out, during trial, but hopefully it's pretty open, and we're, they allow us to see a lot of things, because we've been waiting and the families have been waiting. So it just says here on this part is like the numbers 4 and 6 are likely refer to specific clauses or subclauses, and that's what it is within the legal rule or regulation. The most likely context is federal rules of civil procedure or federal rules of appellate procedure, where Rule 32 deals with the use of depositions and briefs, respectively. For example, within Rule 32 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, there are subclauses, which we know that, but which deals with how a party can offer only a part of the deposition, and 32A3, which deals with objections to the taking of the deposition. Wonder if, like, I don't know, I'm just thinking, okay, I'm probably just, I think too much. I'm like, I think too much. It's probably not right, so I'm not going to say it. I hope they don't offer him. No, me either. The only thing that would make that like a plea deal worth it would be if every single family member, which I don't think that's going to happen, but if every single family member was on board with that, and they didn't want their children's information and all that stuff coming out into the public, then I could see that being, that's something that the family wants. So, like, respectfully, okay, like that would stink for the people that, followed the case and, really care about the outcome of the trial. But, families come first. So, but I think that I know 2, maybe 3 parents are in favor of the death penalty. I know that Kara Kernodle has said before that she's not. And also Ethan Chapin's parents, they seem like they were leaning towards that. They weren't. Now, they also said they weren't going to go to trial, and they're going to go to the trial now. So they may have a different outlook whenever they're actually like in a courtroom with Bryan Kohberger, the accused, allegedly, of this. So Okay, so I thought we would start out like kind of like we did the other night. Was it last night? Yeah, last night where we like went backwards. We kind of did the podcast first and then talked about some stuff after. I have some stuff pulled up that he's going to go over in the podcast that'll like flow afterwards. But we're going to talk about the alternate perpetrator theory, the Latah County coroner, Kathy Mabbitt, coming out and doing her little interview tours that she did. And then also the one small interview that we had with Bill Thompson. We'll go over that. So, and then we'll also go over some pictures and articles of them removing some stuff from the house when they did that. So we can see how fast it was actually after the crime that they did remove the stuff. I think that a lot of it, like looking like if we look back on it now, it's going to seem like maybe they did move a little fast on some of this stuff, because I was looking at the dates. I'm like, it's pretty fast. But then again, I'm not a law enforcement, so who am I to say, right? Who am I to say? So I will put up some pictures while this plays, because of course, for some reason, they don't have Joseph Scott Morgan on TV. They need him on TV. He needs his own like merit spot for Dr. Phil's network. That's what Nancy Grace has. So he needs one too. I was looking everywhere for it and they're like, he doesn't have one. And I was like, I said, that's what Google said. So we'll listen to this and then we will kind of just go over it as we go along. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button. If you'd like to become a member, I would love to have you become a member. It does support the channel and it helps the channel grow. And the link is at the top, pinned at the top. And if you guys want to join, you can.
Business takes working with the best. With the James Hardy Alliance.
Sir.
The 3-row Lexus TX, because everyone should feel like the same.
Ain't happy. Relative to this Dateline special.
Oh, and ladies, I forgot. I don't know how good it is because I didn't check it out. But if you are a member and you check in the emojis, I did a Joseph Scott Morgan emoji. See if he's in there. He should be in there. If not, I'll check whenever I can get off the screen. I just remembered I did that earlier before the live.
Is that
I figured it out.
The judge to say
I only did one because I just figured it out.
Ain't happy. He ain't happy at all. And there are reasons that judges do things. And they put this gag order in place because of the sensitive nature of it, because they know that the media is all over it. There is a temptation that abounds out there when you have information and money that can be injected into a circumstance that would draw somebody out. Now, I'm not saying that anyone is on the take. However, I'm just saying when those bright lights are shown upon you, and I'm talking about from the media, and you're in some kind of job where you otherwise wouldn't have any attention at all, and you get the really important people from New York that are going to show you some attention and show you value. It's I tell you, man, it is fruit of the poisonous tree. It truly is, and it's a dangerous thing. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags. The judge wants somebody's hide in this case, Dave.
And I don't know if he's going to get it or not, Joe, but from the very beginning of this case, they've done things there that were just patently wrong. From the very first thing that we heard from the county coroner.
Yeah.
It wasn't a medical examiner, right? It was a coroner.
Yeah. A lawyer.
She went in,
there was an elected lawyer.
Yeah, that's what it was. And we had all those shenanigans right at the very beginning. We had a number of social media people that were making accusations, and a lot of crazy stuff was going on, but you still had 4 college-age students who were murdered in a house, in a party house. And there are still questions that a lot of us have about what took place and why we don't have certain information. By the way, nobody owes me any information. They owe the families, I think. I've got a real problem with them tearing the house down. You know, they've torn down evidence. And so the judge can be as mad as he wants about things getting out, but they've set it up to be like this. I mean, they have destroyed this case to the point where I'm going to be honest, Joe, I'm really bothered by the fact that they tore that house down. I really am.
It's at this point, sometimes I think about this and I think about the journey that we've been on now. We're in 25.
Right.
We're coming up on the 3rd-year anniversary this upcoming November. And I've been covering it since immediately the day after I started appearing on air. And I got to tell you, sometimes I've looked at this thing and it seems as though for the prosecution, and I guess the judge by extension, because this judge was like introduced into this. He's not who they started out with.
Right.
It's almost like trying to tape together Jell-O sometimes. You look at it and it's just so, you really wonder how this thing is going to come out. And here's the problem that you hear, and it's something I've heard for years and years. I might, and even when I was a practitioner, if you go to a party or something and somebody mentions a case to you that they've heard about in the news and they say, well, if it was me, that guy would, we'd hang him on a sour apple tree. That's what I would do. And you hear that all the time. Well, that's all fine and good. You can say that. But the problem with being that cocksure about something and that reactive and not being purposed in what you do, just to think that you're going to win because the guy looks creepy or that you have some physical evidence, you have some electronic, that doesn't render a verdict. And the courts don't care what you or I think or the general public. There's a set of rules that you have to play by. And wouldn't that be the ultimate insult to these families? If because, this kind of slipshod way that apparently this is being played out before us, that this actually risks the trial. I was talking to somebody the other day, and for the life of me, I can't remember. It was an attorney, and it was in the wake of this. And one of the things that came up says, it's not necessarily going to harm the trial itself. The evidence will be presented, and if it's persuasive enough for a jury, they will find him guilty as charged. Okay. But even if he is found guilty, this attorney friend of mine, they hold that it's not that you have to worry about. You have to worry about the fact that he might have a real shot at an appeal, like a serious shot, because of everything that happened beforehand. Because this is a freight train. We're standing in the middle of the tracks right now that's headed towards. It's not going to swerve. You have to get out of the way of it. It's coming one way or another. The only thing that could happen is, I guess, that they could say, we want to, move the trial date for some reason, but I can't see why they would do that. But yeah, this is a huge mess that has been created. And look, ABC, Dateline, they can say all they want to, freedom of the press, that we have to protect our sources. Well, here's the problem. This is not actual reporting.
Yeah.
This is meddling at this point in time. Those are two separate things completely.
Somebody in there gave information they weren't supposed to give.
Yeah. And when you look, Dave, let me ask you this. Just let me ask you.
Yeah.
I want to hear your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
When you consider the data that they put out on Dateline, if you had to hazard a guess, we don't know any more than anybody else, but if you had to hazard a guess, given the nature of this information, who would be on your likely list of suspects? And you don't have to name a specific person, just what would, if it is from within the law enforcement or prosecutorial environment, what division within that do you think would be the most likely candidate?
When you're looking at what we're talking about here, you have the alleged cell phone activity of Bryan Kohberger that was not public knowledge, that was in the Dateline episode. You have the searches that included the podcasts, Ted Bundy, and other porn.
Yeah.
Some of the cell phone things that we
Wait,
were
hang
not
on. You've
aware-
coupled me with Ted Bundy and porn now. Thanks, Dave. I
well,
appreciate
part
it.
of the investigation.
call it
But
that.
there were gruesome details about the crime scene that also
Hey,
became
Big
public
Mac.
after the Dateline show. For instance, Ethan
Yeah.
Chapin
Sorry.
was we were told he was already asleep, and when he was killed he was asleep, but then we find out that he's had his leg carved, something in his leg, and the way they've made it sound is that he was alive when that happened, but it didn't wake him up. That's I don't know how that's possible, but
I don't either.
Yeah. So, but again, this is information that was not available outside of a very small group of people. And I'm thinking somebody in the sheriff's department, the police department, somebody in there, an underling, probably. It's not going to be anybody that's had a career up to this point. It's going to be somebody that probably has a friend.
Yeah. And one of these things with, hey, let me show you this.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And then they just continue to feed them. I don't have anything to back that up.
No.
All of this stuff is, look, I know, because there was the other thing that came out. I was reflecting on this, and I don't know if we have mentioned this, but I think that they had mentioned that someone had sat, perhaps the perpetrator had sat in the chair in the room with the girls upstairs. And that implies that some kind of trace element was left behind and may have been on that individual. But a lot of the stuff, particularly images, movement, that, oh my gosh, that new video that has popped up, with the vehicle. We've never seen that before.
Nope.
I mean, that was something that was like really held close to the vest. I don't know. This smacks of digital to me, Dave. It really does. Like somebody that would have access to that specific data.
Everything would have been digitized. You're right. Everything you're talking about. You're right. Okay. Yeah. File. It's a file on somebody's laptop, somebody's desk that they shouldn't have had. Yeah.
And how does it make it into the hands of a Dateline producer? I don't understand that. And, look, you see the people on the screen that appear, for Dateline. That's not who's driving the ship on these things. I hate to, I hate to burst everybody's bubble. Like if you sit at home, you scream at the screen because you see some talking head that's giving you information. They're not driving the ship. It's the producers that drive the ship. From beginning to end, that's how this works. Trust me, I've been involved with media now for a long time. But the idea that you would take a case that's not even near being adjudicated at this point in time, and you would populate the airwaves with this, and it's not, and it would still be bad, but it's not like it was done on the local public television channel at 11 o'clock at night. You're talking about Dateline, and everybody in true crime, has watched Dateline at one point in time. They all have their favorite person that's on Dateline.
It's interesting. It's so funny, Joe, because something you just said is something that doesn't happen anymore. It's not something that just popped up for 30 seconds on a local television station at 11 o'clock at night.
No,
because now everything's viral. Everything is everything, no matter where you are. If it's on the line, if it's on somewhere, everybody has it. My neighbors across the street, when this story first broke, having a daughter in that age group, they became enamored, just all about the story. And they were telling me about things that were going on with it. And I was like, where are you getting this? And they would tell me, I'm like, I don't think that's accurate, And I would go back and check my notes to see what we had. And I do know how you get information from a local source. I've chosen not to go down that path in my life because it only hurts people. It doesn't help you along the way. You don't win. You're going to brown nose your career like that. It's not a way to live. I will tell you, I learned, I watched when the Natalie Holloway case broke.
Yeah.
Because it happened. I was on the air in Birmingham, Alabama at the time when that story broke, and was very involved in a lot of that early coverage in terms of national media coming in and using local people, local media people. And I didn't tell them jack because they wanted information. They wanted private, personal information about people. And you're talking about, this is somebody's daughter, man.
Yeah.
This is somebody, this is a person. This is not a story. Same thing is true here. It's why you dealt with such kid gloves at this story when you were covering it. And
but that's the reason why somebody local to the area, I think, will be able to cover this story and cover it with a little bit of more dignity. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've been living in this hell for the last over 2 years, you know? And that's what the Judge Hippler said anyway. That's going to be like one person of media in there for the local station, whichever one they pick. Pick Crim 2 News because they've been the best, it seems like. Get that little guy with the toboggan, the young kid. Ooh. Or what about the guy that was at all the press conferences with the makeup, with the really good hair, the really handsome guy? Him. Real young guy. He'd be good too. It's going to make someone's career. Might as well, you know, it's going to.
talking about the students that were involved. So for somebody, whether it's Dateline NBC or Primetime or whatever, to go after this story knowing what's at stake and to get stuff and put it on the air knowing it's wrong. Everybody knows there's a gag order. You're not supposed to have this information.
No.
If you truly care about the law, you don't do this.
No, you don't. And listen, the investigators that worked this case, and it's a multi-agency event that took place. You've even got the feds involved in it. Yeah, I have made my comments about the house, it being gone. Some of the things I saw procedurally with the evidence, you know, I think the thing that stands out in my mind is that mattress being driven down the road in the back of a pickup truck uncovered.
Wait a minute.
However,
Go back to that, Joe. Explain what you just said for those who didn't catch that. What did you see and what happened?
It was the image of they had a pickup truck that was backed up to the door, and the police had loaded in a bare mattress into the back of that truck. And I had to, you know, shake the cobwebs out of my head and try to take the measure of what I was seeing, because it didn't compute. You know, I'm thinking, wait, it's snowing up there, debris is blowing about, and you've got a mattress that's going in. I'm assuming that since so much of this case involves bedrooms, that mattress held a certain level of evidentiary value, and you got it in the back of a pickup truck and you're hauling it away. I mean, I've worked around several police agencies that were very poor, but they had vans. You know, at least in a van, you've got this thing shut up in the back and it's protected. And there's a way, yes, there's even a way to package a mattress in our world.
Need flexibility? Our
nowhere to find a real.
You know, I even look back to, you talk about a big misstep with this. You know, I don't think Kohberger had been extradited back to Idaho at this point, but he had retained counsel. And I think the counsel he had retained was in Pennsylvania. And do you remember this, brother, where they said they were going to release the scene and have it cleaned? And the
cleaners were there.
Kohberger's counsel at that time was like, no. Remember, the people were in the Tavek suits outside of the house, and they had put the plastic up over the door so the guys that do the crime scene cleaning could go in and clean.
Right.
And his team at that time, and I think he was, if I remember correctly, I think he was still in Pennsylvania at the time. They said, whoa, hold your horses. We've got our own investigators that we want to send there, that want to appreciate it, all those sorts of things. And they still had like the plastic, they create like this plastic tunnel on the outside of the door that you kind of walk in, you're wearing the respirator and all that stuff, and you're going to go in and clean. It's just the way they do things. And they had to put the kibosh on that and step away from it so that their people could go and do their own observations. And listen, I understand that people are frustrated with this, and they'll say, well, they, tough, they didn't. No. You have to make it an even playing field. You have to look at their sports analogies are rife in this thing. You have to have an equal playing field in this. And, the judge is acting as a referee or an umpire, and they call the shots along the way. And it has to remain balanced, because in the end, and I don't necessarily think that true justice in this world actually exists, but if you want some semblance of justice, and certainly scientific truth from my perspective, everybody has to have a clean swing, if you will. They have to have their own shot at it, because that's the way our courts are set up. I know it's frustrating, but that's the way it works.
Does it bother you that Ann Taylor, the public defender, who became Bryan Kohberger's public defender only after she unloaded Xander Cano's biological mother, who she had represented multiple times? How is that possible that a victim's mother is your client that you have represented on drug charges and other?
Yeah.
And you, because you know what this case means, are able to finagle the system so you can be named public defender for Bryan Kohberger.
It doesn't necessarily, look, hey, it doesn't necessarily make me happy, but look, this is kind of ham-handed, but I got to tell you, that's between her and the bar of Idaho and her relationship with God. Like, how do you feel about it? Well, I have no moral compunction over doing this whatsoever. And it's smarmy. I mean, there's a certain level to that's distasteful, but she's a practicing attorney. And if the bar says it's okay for her to do it, go ahead and do it, knock yourself out. But, and she's going to get, and she has gotten a certain amount of recognition for this.
Yeah.
And I know everybody wants to think that, that you're crusading for justice, and this can apply to both prosecution and defense. You're crusading for justice. You're there to help people and all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's like driving down the road and you see, in our state, I won't say the name. I'm not going to give them free advertisement, but you drive down the road and it says, you've been in a car accident? Call us. That's where we're in your corner, that sort of thing. It's the same thing. You're advertising at that point in time. That's why in these really big cases, there are attorneys that will take pro bono cases, because whatever you would make, say, for instance, off of the dime that the state is slipping you to do this pro bono, and there is a base salary or monies that they receive, is going to be far exceeded by what you're going to have with clients that are going to walk through your door. Oh, yeah, you represented them. Now I want you. Okay. So that's the payout in the end. Don't come to me talking about justice and all of that sort of thing. But that's what they do. That's how they roll with it. I just hope that what the judge has asked for is going to happen, because there needs to be, I think, Dave, in this particular case, there has to be a message sent, like a strong message. The judge, from my understanding, looked at the DA and said, a special prosecutor must be appointed in this case to look into this specific matter. It caught the judge's eye.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be caught by the judge's eye at any point in time. I think about, what was it? I don't know if you've ever seen these movies, The Lord of the Rings. It's that big eye that's up in the air that kind of seeks out, and you never want to fall in the gaze of the judge, but certainly for nothing negative. I don't want to fall in any judge's gaze anyway. I tried to be as obedient as I possibly can. I try to play by the rules at all times. Anytime I had to go into some judge's court. But, for me, when you look at this, you're already going to be on the radar anyway. The judge has got a very difficult job in this case. Now, how happy do you think the judge is that this has been added onto their plate? Because it's an absolute train wreck. I don't know really how they're going to solve this. I'm going to be very interested to see how this plays out if and when, and I'm hoping sooner than later, the special prosecutor will be appointed. And we're talking about Moscow, Idaho, your pool of potential people there
Right.
is tiny. This is not going to take any amount of time to whittle this down. As a matter of fact, I would imagine that there are fannies that are tightening all over the place right now, or specifically those individuals that know that they were the ones that did it, or maybe a supervisor out there that is thinking, this might be my person that did this.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, what's going to happen? Is there going to be hell to pay for it, Dave?
See if anybody that you know in that area has hired an attorney or has met with an attorney recently, and that's your guy. That's all I'm saying. We talked about attorneys a minute ago, talking about Ann Taylor and
right.
getting publicity. There's Mark Garagos is one of these attorneys who has a big profile. He was Scott Peterson's lawyer. He's been doing a lot of Diddy. Yeah. And but one thing people don't know about Garagos, and this is why I'm always cautious of saying anything about what lawyers do, because we don't know everything they do. Like Ann Taylor, I'm bothered by the fact that Ann Taylor was Xander Cano's mother attorney, and then she wrangled herself to be in this position with Kohberger. That bothers me. I don't know why, and it probably shouldn't, but it does. But I mentioned Garagos because he and Nancy go head to head over Diddy all the time.
Oh yeah.
But Mark Garagos does something that a lot of people don't know. He has close ties to Alabama. Every year Mark Garagos does a pro bono case in Alabama, and usually it's a death penalty case for free.
I did not know that.
No,
I had no idea.
And that's kind of the measure of the individual to me. So whether the Ann Taylor thing bothers anybody but me, it's just, like I said, to me, I'm thinking, if this was my daughter, and you're representing me in a court filing right now, and you then leave to go and to get the guy that killed my daughter, allegedly killed my daughter, off. Yeah. Again, maybe they're all fine with it. I don't know.
I mean,
$200
I would
an
imagine,
hour.
again,
I don't think she was getting paid for the state for Kara Kernodle's case $200 an hour. I mean, that would sway me a little bit, I would say.
As it applies to two groups of people. Well, a group of people and a person.
Not personally me, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a defense attorney. I just couldn't.
Yeah. The state bar, are they cool with it? Is it within the rules? And then the judge, are they cool with it? Because I can tell you the judge would have they would be fully aware of this.
Oh yeah.
And and I don't really know that there would necessarily be a conflict of interest. I can't imagine.
No,
but it's just it has a distaste to it, I think.
Yeah. But you mentioned the judge has ordered a probe into this thing. And that's why I wonder how many other things have gone under the radar. This is a big one because it was Dateline. It was a big one because information that was not readily available and not known became known. That's a big deal. A lot of us have information that we kind of might have heard, might have thought we heard, something along the line. Somebody said something out of turn before there was things like that happen all the time. Information comes out really early. Yeah. This is not part of that. This is information that was developed, studied, created, finding that new video new to us of a car that looks like Kohberger's car dancing around. I mean,
it actually looks, it's the image that they showed is actually clearer than the other ones that I've seen.
Right. I thought
to me it is. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe that's after enhancement or whatever. Hey, can I return to something real quick?
Please.
I'm thinking that this is happening in the wake of arguably one of the most high profile cases in Idaho history. The Kohberger case is. It's not like people are not aware of what the media are capable of, because when you think about the Daybell case and just the round and round and round with that whole thing, you would have thought that perhaps lessons had been learned. And again, it's a small, population-wise, it's a small state. News travels, and there's a central conduit for it if you're trying to disseminate information down to other layers of law enforcement. It's the state police. State police they were involved with the Daybell case. They're involved with this case. And you would think that, somebody and the state attorney general, hey, look, these are steps you need to avoid because we've gone through a lot of stuff with the press already. But no, that wasn't good enough for them. Now they're staring down the barrel of what has just happened relative to Dateline. And I'm very curious about that. You begin to think about it and think, wow, is it going to be something that is going to be so catastrophic that perhaps not everything, but maybe some of those things that have been revealed, I don't know, what's the level or lack thereof of admissibility, of that evidence that's been displayed? I don't know. I have no idea.
Something interesting did happen this week, in light of the Dateline gag order, whatever. Apparently, Bryan Kohberger has fingered somebody else that did the crime.
Oh, gotcha.
And the judge has given certain rules to everybody now. They want to bring up this other suspect. He's not named publicly yet. The judge has it. And the judge says, okay, you've got till May 23rd. Give me all the info you have on why this person is a suspect and what evidence you're going to bring to trial that you think can go in at trial. And then we're going to give the prosecution till June 6th to straighten it out. And then I'll make the call. But can
I ask you something real quick? I'm
Sure.
going to be a major smartass here and ask you a question real quick. I want to know, Dave, is he doing this because is his team doing this because they're such altruist that care about their fellow man so much that now they're going to reveal the identity of a person that butchered these college students? Or is this information they've just come into? It's hot off the press. Matter of fact, it's so hot, we can't even hold it. Is that, or have they known about this suspect all along? Please riddle me this, Bryan Kohberger's team. Is this information that you've had for a protracted period of time and this person's been running the streets? Or is this something that just, like manna from heaven, that just happened to drop into your lap? I mean, inquiring minds want to know, I think.
We're the inquiring minds.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Annabelle Rearranged.
New York. Does that sound all right?
Comments that were made early on.
Learn more at IBM.com. The AI built for business. IBM.
There were comments that were made early on. I remember oh God, it's been so long now. Do you remember they had, it was either a cat or a dog that had been skinned? Do you remember that?
I do.
And people were trying to give the impression that it was some kind of ritualistic thing that was going on. And that of course turned out to be a big fat zero, along the way. I don't know. Hey, and by the way, I never got a call from Dateline to give them permission to use my image on the air either. Do you think I got a case? I don't know. I'll have to see. Maybe I can call one of the guys on the billboards going down the highway. Maybe they'll look into it for me. What do you think, brother?
I think somebody there could help you. But Joe, there are a number of things with this case with Kohberger that, I have a question for you based on what took place, the injuries done to the victims. We got 4 people dead in a very short window of time, according to what we've heard from the prosecution. Yeah. We know Xana Krenodal was getting food delivered at 4:10 in the morning. We know she was on her phone at 4:08. We know that Kohberger was in and out of there, allegedly, if it's Kohberger, that you've got a window that starts after 4:10 and ends at 4:25. If she's awake, and she's not the first one killed. First one is Madison Mogan up top.
Yep.
Right? That timetable doesn't work for me. That's too close. You've got at least 3 people awake. Xana, who's getting food, and you've got the 2, Dylan and Bethany, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. They're both there because they're texting one another. So you got 3 people awake in that building at the time when the murders are supposed to begin. You're going to tell me nobody screamed, nobody heard anything? See, we can't go into that building to find out what that was like because they tore it down right away.
The acoustics are gone. Yep.
Yeah. But That's something I have a lot of trouble with. I'm just wondering, that just does not, you're talking about going up and down stairs, killing 4 people, and only leaving minimal evidence behind.
Well, I think, I was talking about how everything in this case is about timeline and, what was happening before and after. And if that videography that we have from, the previously unseen, how does that timestamp match up with the story that we've been told thus far? Because, what I know and what is information that has to this point been released by law enforcement.
Right.
A lot of the other stuff is merely speculation. It's conclusions that have been drawn based upon these numbers. But if those numbers are screwed up in the least, okay, then that's going to create a real problem. But we obviously have timestamps on activity. I think TikTok was involved relative to Xana. She had been on TikTok at some point in time. That's going to be timestamped. The information relative to food delivery. And that also draws in another thing, because people have asked me, is it plausible that one individual, and again, maybe this is what his defense team is going for here, is it plausible that one individual could have come in here and perpetrated this crime in this short amount of time with a sharp instrument? You're talking about killing 4 people, and it's in the twinkling of an eye, in and out, and if Taylor can at least plant that seed of reasonable doubt into the mind of the jury, and she's got a client that, I don't know how to describe it. If she's got a client that someone might sympathize with, then maybe that's doable. I have no idea, but the timeline is going to be very, very important. And to a broader issue too with me is the timeline from the time of death is also going to be in question, because of the delay in getting contact with the police. These kids have been dead for hours. And if I've got a coroner that's saying, well, it looks like they were asleep. Well, if that was your assessment at the scene, I want to know, did you actually do a postmortem interval assessment of the bodies at the scene? Well, you're saying they're sleeping. Turns out that they may have been in bed at some point in time, but it doesn't sound like they were all in bed. And so therefore, stands to reason they're not all asleep. So, that information relative to timeline, the timestamps on the CCTV, timestamps relative to phone, the travel of the car, and also the PMI, postmortem interval, and how was that assessed, and was there any meat on the bone with that scientifically? Anything that you could take back to the people in Boise, which is many people don't know, those autopsies were not done in Moscow. They were taken to Ada County, which is actually where the Daybell case was handled as well, because that's where they have a forensic pathologist in Idaho, is in Boise. And so they contract with these smaller counties, and they actually do the autopsies for them. So when that data is relayed from the scene, and hopefully it was done quickly, one of the questions a forensic pathologist is going to ask, because they're not coming down there from Boise to observe these bodies. It's their eyes and ears is this coroner. Well, how thorough of a job did you do there? Because I can't wait to read the coroner's report, and there should be one that is generated. Every coroner generates a report, and it should be very detailed. With 4 bodies, Dave, let's see. Let me do the calculation in my mind. With 4 bodies, those are 4 individual cases. I'm thinking at least a minimum. If I was a supervisor in a medical examiner's office, I would want to see at least a 5-page report on each and every one of these victims. And that's including a lot of detailed information. Chief among that information is going to be your assessment of rigidity of the body, fixation of postmortem lividity, algor mortis, which is the temperature of the body, and then not to mention the observable injuries that you see in there, the clothing, environmental status, what's the environmental temperature like, what's the lighting like, positionality of the body, triangulation of the body in the scene. I mean, all of this data, and then the history behind it. I would have to see that in the case. It would have to be that robust. So you're talking about at minimum 18 to 20 pages in total of reports that should have been generated on a case like this per the coroner if they're doing their job. Wow. And that just kind of marries up in my mind with somebody that helped design the national standards for medical legal death investigator. That's right. That's right in the sweet spot. It's right in the sweet spot, I think, at least. We'll see what's in that report.
When
too.
will we? When will that information be brought out in court? Because, by the way, they are going to stream the trial.
Yep.
They're not going to stream jury selection, but they are going to stream the trial. There are going to be a couple of times where we're not going to be able to. They're not going to stream certain testimony, or at least the judge will decide later. But the prosecution was asking about some of the detectives, some people not being streamed, and I'm against that. If you're either going to stream them or you're not. Either everybody gets to see everything or they don't. Now, they have Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen are going to give them the opportunity to be blurred on the streamed image to keep
protect their identity or whatever.
Protect their identity.
Okay.
And I mean, that's fine. It's just I can't imagine what they're going through. I
don't understand it either, because even with and I know you've heard.
We all know what they look like.
I know you have, because you've worked on it with me. But for those that are not familiar with the Piketon massacre, those trials, there were 1, 2, 3, 4. We're still waiting on the fourth trial at this point in that case. Can you believe that? All the way from 2016, still waiting on the dad's trial. In the previous trials, they would cut the feed when certain individuals testified, and police officers, they weren't. The son that was directly responsible for shooting the most of the victims, he asked that his testimony not be shown. I think it's a bunch of crap. I think that if you get up on the stand, I don't have a problem with them blurring images. It should be streamed. It should be streamed, and you should be able to see this. If you're going to don't do it halfway. You got 1 foot in the boat and 1 foot in the water. Go all the way in on it and show it. Okay. You didn't sign up to be a police officer to be hidden. All right. And this is not like, I don't know. I guess they could say, well, these police officers might be involved in future undercover operations. They don't want their identities revealed and whatever, but you're going to know their names.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're a wired in world now. Just because you're a police officer doesn't mean that, you have anonymity. Far from it nowadays.
I do think that with Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, because I've had my own questions about the two of them and what they did or did not do.
Yeah, everybody has, yeah.
And but I'm made to feel like I'm a horrible, evil person for even asking, but I am curious if those were my kids, one of my children that had died in that.
Yeah.
And there were two people that were awake texting one another and didn't bother to call police for 7-8 hours. I mean, I got a problem with that. I still have a problem with that.
Yeah. The whole indwelling fear thing, kind of it becomes unpalatable after a while. You have to have something more than that. And listen, it's not for us to necessarily explain. They're going to be asked those questions when they're on the stand. Now, whether or not people will be satisfied with the answers they hear, I can't make any prediction about that.
I wonder, Joe, in all of this, where you have the one who is Dylan Mortensen with the bushy eyebrows testimony, which is going to be in there now.
Yep.
Because those are some of the things that were ruled on that Kohberger they've been trying to keep certain testimony out.
Yeah.
And it seems like each time they've tried, it's gone the other way, which is really odd to me that we never heard of a possible other suspect until after they were denied all these other things that they were trying to use to get the death penalty tossed.
Well, it's like autism. It's the same thing.
Oh my gosh. Come on, man. This guy can be in, he's in college to get his master's degree in criminal justice, and yet he's not smart. He can't help with his own defense, but he can be a TA.
I don't understand that. I really don't. And again, it's it's a ploy of desperation. And listen, it irks me, I think, on one level, that there are truly people that struggle with autism in their life, and it's being used as a prop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it,
Yes.
the way it seems to me.
My grandson is on the spectrum, Joe. I've seen it. I
Yeah.
have seen that used, and I've talked to you and Kim about it because
Yeah.
I was surprised at a number of different things. I'm very proud of what he has accomplished because
he's a wonderful man, wonderful young man.
Unbelievable. You know what? For a kid with apraxia, reading beyond grade level is a big deal.
Yeah,
and he's worked really hard at it. But the thing is that I've had to study all of this stuff to figure it out because I didn't know.
Right.
When they said on the spectrum, I'm like, what does that even mean? I hear it, but what is it? And then I hear them applying it to this guy who has gone through all these years of college and he's gone cross country to study and what. I mean, none of this adds up to me as a guy who can't help it.
Oh, I think they did it to us.
This is an iHeart podcast.
They did. Why do they do that sometimes? They'll just cut it right off. I don't know why he did that to us. He did us
What
dirty.
he has accomplished because
hold on, no, he
he's
didn't.
a wonderful man, wonderful young man.
Yeah. You know what?
Okay, I don't know what just happened there, but I thought he was doing us dirty, cutting us off like Nancy does sometimes. But there's 2 minutes left, and I don't know what that other thing was that popped up. That like music or whatever. That's weird.
For a kid with apraxia, reading beyond grade level is a big deal.
Yeah,
and he's worked really hard at it. But the thing is that I've had to study all of this stuff to figure it out because I didn't know.
Right.
When they said on the spectrum, I'm like, what does that even mean? I hear it, but what is it? And then I hear them applying it to this guy who has gone through all these years of college and he's gone cross country to study and what. I mean, none of this adds up to me as a guy who can't help it.
And again, it comes down to, now defense hasn't said this. This is people in the media and it's people in the general public that, we've just talked about this earlier, that use the term incel. Incel is one of the most disingenuous, intellectually lazy terms in the world because it lacks specificity, particularly when you're talking about a group of college kids that have been butchered. So that's your answer is going to be incel. And then we're just going to kind of leave it at that. And then, you're going to, and somebody's going to offer up some kind of half-ass explanation for what incel actually means. And again, it's not in the DSM. It's not, because they're trying to paint, incelitis, I guess, as an actual medical condition, and it's not. It's it's a point of observation of people that are intellectually lazy most of the time, that they don't want to dig any deeper relative to this. And it's easy. I think it makes it easy to explain, why somebody would do something like this, or it gives them some kind of comfort. What it comes down to is that I don't know if it was Bryan Kohberger or not, but I do know this, that whoever did this was a monster because they had no compassion. They were absent heart, and they ended the lives of 4 promising young adults. I'm Joseph Scott Morgan, and this is Body Bags.
Okay, let me get the stuff down. There we go. And then get me big again. Okay. There we go. There we are. Yeah, there was no signs of essay. Yeah. I was actually going to bring up the video that she did with, I found it. I found the full video she did with News Nation's Ashley Banfield. For some reason, it was like scrubbed from News Nation. I can't find it on News Nation anywhere, but I found it through Daily Mail. So it just, okay. It's like even better, I don't know if it's even better, but you know what I mean. Okay. So this is Kathy Mabbitt. I don't know if this was her first or second, if she did the one. Okay, she did this one first. Let's switch screens. Let's switch her over. Let's do them in, because I'm pretty sure that this is the first one. I don't see a date on the other one, but I'm pretty sure that this one, because this one's from like the 15th. And I think that this one would have been first. But yeah, so this is if you didn't get a chance to see these, Latah County Coroner says all 4 students killed near University of Idaho were victims. So sorry. So they did an interview with her. This could have been, I think this was like the local station maybe. And then she did the one with Ashley Banfield. And then after that, the dissemination order like hit and nobody was allowed to talk about nothing no more. Remember, we had it good for like a week or something. I think it was like a week. It wasn't even that long, I don't think. And everyone had to be quiet. Like after Bryan Kohberger was arrested.
With a C, Mabbutt, Mabbutt.
And I'm going to ask you, how long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing it for 16 years, and I just got reelected for another 4.
So what is it that, or I guess, when did you get the call on Sunday?
I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first. So I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
Can you walk us through, like, for our viewers, kind of the process between when police show up and then you guys getting the bodies and doing your examinations?
Sure. Well,
like I'm not a coroner, but I know that you lose like a certain amount of like body heat or whatever, like each hour that you're deceased. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how much per hour. She would know. Coroner would know, but you would think that she would be there like a little like, okay, maybe they're investigating at first. I understand that you don't want to be in the way, they're investigating, but I don't know, 5 hours. That's like you could have a whole damn brunch and like way more than that. I don't even know. That's a lot. 5 hours is a lot. You could do a lot in 5 hours.
enforcement goes through and looks for any evidence, takes videos and pictures of everything in there. And
see, wouldn't she like, I know that they don't want to like disrupt the scene, but you would think that she would at least come in there and do like the temperature check like of the liver, right? I don't know. I guess you'd have to move the bodies in order to do that, but you wouldn't think that it would take that long to take that many pictures. Like you get the necessary pictures that you need first. It's not like you walk from the doorway and start, doing your whole crime scene.
They'll start talking with people. So I don't really need to be there for that. They can't move the bodies. I mean, the bodies have to stay as they were until the coroner gets there. So that's what my job is, to look at the bodies.
As a coroner, do you guys do the autopsies and all that?
No, we
maybe there's a way to do it. I don't know.
Some do if they're an actual medical examiner, but we have forensic pathologists and we contract with Spokane to do that.
So in your experience, what is it that you saw when you showed up?
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was.
Thanks, baby girl. I couldn't remember.
It's a very sad scene with 4 murdered college students.
You're ruling all 4 deaths homicides?
Yes.
Okay. And can you give us a manner of death? Yeah.
I believe that the press release was that they were from a sharp object. So
stabbings.
Yeah, I will know more after the autopsies tomorrow.
And do you believe this could be like a murder-suicide or?
No, they're 4 homicides.
Okay.
And we were all wondering that in the beginning. A lot of people were wondering that.
And when it comes to doing the investigation post-autopsy, that falls on you, correct?
Yes. It's my job to determine the manner and mechanism of death.
And then I know with toxicology results, there can often be, at least in Washington, a delay So do you have any idea how long it could take if those were relevant to get any type of results back on that?
Well, the toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death.
And do we know how long between the time of death and when police found them, approximately?
No, I don't know for sure.
Do we have like any, like, could it have been hours? Could it have been a day? Was it maybe close? Like, is there any sort of like time frame there?
Not that I'm aware of.
She must have just raised her hand the highest, Felicia.
I mean, is this something you've had to deal with?
It's bad.
Since I've been coroner, there have been at least 2 other multiple homicide scenes that I've been involved in. So,
Does she smirk there, or is it just me? I think she just gets under my skin.
Would you say this is probably the most gruesome?
oh, it's hard to just single it out. It's the only one I've been to where there have been 4 people at one scene. There have been the other ones have had multiple scenes.
And was anybody else injured, like any non-deceased people?
Not that I'm aware of, but I wouldn't necessarily be notified either.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like because the injuries could be similar and matter to you.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Were the deceased all in close proximity to each other, or were they in different rooms?
I don't know that I can discuss that.
I think she's trying to be careful with her words, but
my next question too. So I think, yeah.
Will we be able to get a copy of your report once it's concluded? I'm sure it'll be.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just call.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do you know what the time frame for that would be?
It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is, but
Okay.
So-
So it was like the 4 to 6 weeks.
it could
Okay.
be. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
well, I guess this was creme news maybe here. So yeah, they did have a lot of interviews in the beginning. Remember? I feel like they did. That's true. Yeah, Felicia. Yeah, they wanted to. If they do find, if the killer does call in, they want to be able to make sure that they can say, like, give us something that only the person that did this would know. So they've definitely kept things back. Now she's over here on News Nation. This one's a little bit longer. Ashley got her on there for 8 minutes. Wow. But we'll listen through to it, through all the way through. Okay. Yeah, that made no sense, but we're gonna play it now. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button for your girl. It does help the channel. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting on? Come on now, just do it. Just do it already. I think there's like the ratio is like really weird. It's like almost neck and neck with how many people are new users or new viewers. I mean, new viewers compared to like subscribed viewers. It's really crazy. I thought there'd be like a little bit of a difference there. So that just means I got
To say that
more
police in Idaho are
subscribe.
baffled tonight might be an understatement. 4 college kids at the University of Idaho were found dead in a barbaric scene. A savage killer having used a military-styled knife to butcher all of them. And that killer is still on the loose tonight. The autopsies have now been completed, and the coroner who performed them is kind enough to be live with me tonight. Kathy Mabbitt is the Latah County medical examiner. Ms. Mabbitt, thank you so much for being here. The first question I have for you is, what was the condition of the bodies when they arrived at your lab?
Well, I am not the medical examiner. I'm the coroner, and the autopsies were done in Spokane, Washington, at the medical examiner's office up there. So,
So were you present for any of it, or you received their results?
no, I was there when the autopsies were done.
So were you able to determine that the conditions of the bodies when they arrived?
Yes, they had multiple stab wounds, and all of them have been ruled murders.
All of them had been ruled murders, yes. I don't have to say the obvious, but it is extremely difficult to stab 4 people to death. So that's why I asked the specifics about the conditions. Were there defensive wounds? Was there anything unique to their wounds that would have told a story?
There are likely some defensive wounds, but no, there just were a lot of stab wounds. And so, I mean, it was late at night or early in the morning. So it seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
Were they found in separate areas of the house?
That hasn't been disclosed yet.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
And so can you tell me if there were multiple stab wounds?
That tells right there that it would be more than one room then, right? The victims would be in more than one room. Maybe not, maybe you wouldn't know 4, 2, 3, or 1, but she was like, I don't know, just some of this stuff, it was easy to get some of the answers out of her, I felt like.
Wounds per victim?
You just reworded the question.
Or were these sort of, individual lethal stab wounds that may have been less in number, but more in lethality?
There were multiple stab wounds, yes, on them. So, and
were there? Go ahead.
And most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound. Yes.
Can you describe what that one might have been?
But they were to the fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
So do you think whoever did this, they knew to do that? They knew to go to the upper body area? Perhaps. If each victim, they're all upper body injuries, that would have been like the lethal one. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure all of them in conjunction were lethal, but I'm saying, I know that they were saying that like he did one stabbing where it was like lethal, like where you would, be passed out within like seconds and dead within like minutes.
Were there, and I only ask this because it sometimes determines what kind of a crime this was, a crime of passion, a random crime, a fight, a struggle. Was there, were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings. And it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
So it's fascinating that I'm reading that the DNA testing is still to come, that those bodies are going to go to a crime lab for DNA testing. But we are, this is Sunday that this happened. We're multiple days since, and there's a killer on the loose. I'm curious as to why the DNA testing hasn't happened already.
Well, the bodies have been released to the families. The DNA testings were, things from the crime scene have been sent to forensic labs for DNA testing. And then there were lots of swabs that were taken at the autopsies, as well as fingernail clippings, their clothing. All of those things have been taken to the forensic lab for the DNA testing. That's where it would come from.
And that doesn't, it usually takes a long time, but when there's an exigent circumstance like this, it's often expedited. Do you expect that these results will come back quickly? Again, there is a killer on the loose, so to know that DNA result would be critical.
Right, and I don't know the time frame, but yes, it's all being expedited. There's lots of Idaho State Police Forensic Lab and the FBI, and so they have all been transported in there. They're working on those things. I don't know the time frame for that.
Ms. Mabbutt, we showed a picture a moment ago of a wall on the outside of the house. It looked like the foundation on the outside of the house. I'm going to ask the control room to put that picture up again. This was fairly shocking to see. It's blood dripping on the outside of the house, almost as though it may be seeping from the inside. Does that sound congruent with the results of the crime scene that you were able to ascertain from your work?
From my observations, yes.
And can you tell me if that means that this might have been one of the bedrooms or where the beds were, that one of the victims was stabbed, this particular area of the house?
I think that's pretty likely, yes.
Is there anything else, any other
That's what I'm
information
saying,
you can
yeah.
shed on that particular scene?
Hey, computer Kevin.
No, it's not. I mean, my job is to deal with the manner and cause of death, and that is really being done by the forensics and the crime scene investigators.
And everyone does their job differently, but one thing I do know, and that is that when determining manner and cause of death, it's not just the science in the lab, it's also the circumstances at the crime scene. And I'm assuming that you got a pretty voluminous volume of information that you had to go through. Is there anything that stood out in that volume of information that you received that might lead police to say it was a targeted?
Why would she be getting voluminous discovery or like information? She should just be getting the bodies. And then her brain's supposed to do the rest, right?
Attack, because that's confounded a lot of us.
Right. Yes, I don't.
No,
I
we
didn't
kinda
share
do.
that
We kinda
same.
know it
I
was
don't share
bugged.
that same opinion. Really, I, there's 4 people that have all been killed at one scene.
That biologicals on the house, it wasn't there in August when Kaylee came outside for the body cam. They pan over to that wall and there's no blood on the wall. So before the crime, nothing there. After the crime, red stuff's dropping down the walls. Yeah, and it's safe to assume, and that's where Xana's bed was. So it's safe to assume that was probably Ethan. That's what I would think.
And 4 young college students. So all of them were stabbed and all of them were killed. So I'm not sure how that is targeted. But.
I mean, it certainly seemed odd to me as well. Can you tell me if there were at least signs of struggle, meaning maybe the first victim was sleeping, but the ensuing noise and confusion may have awakened the others, and they may have come to fruitlessly try to fight off this killer?
I think that's one of the things that that law enforcement is looking at. I was notified shortly after law enforcement was called to the scene, but I didn't actually go there for several hours because they're the ones who have to look for the evidence and take the pictures and videos from the scene. So I think they would have more information than I would about that.
Inside that house, how big is the scene?
It's a large house. So it's a big scene to investigate.
Multiple floors? The incident happened on multiple floors?
Well, it's a multiple floor house, yes.
But did the crime happen on multiple floors, meaning they had to do forensics and there were victims and evidence on multiple floors?
I think there's evidence on multiple floors, yes.
Were there bodies found on multiple floors in different locations, or were they all found together?
I am not authorized to release that right now.
Well, I certainly respect what you can and can't do, and I really appreciate you coming on with us tonight. This is just a horrendous situation. Kathy Mebbutt, thank you for your work and for your time.
I don't even know what I just did there. Okay. Thanks, Ashley Banfield, for drilling her with questions so we could get some answers. You know, that was awfully kind of you. Let's see, where are we at? Okay. Maybe I will do this on the next slide. Maybe not. Let me see. Okay, I think I will. I was just debating on whether to do this one on tonight's live, but I think I'm going to wait because I want to go over it. Because I found some pictures of when they were taking the stuff out of the house, when they were taking the mattresses out. Do you guys ever remember them taking out a table? because I don't remember a table. And I saw pictures and I was finding them, and I'm finding pictures of like this table, and it looks like Maddie Mogan's table that was like her night side table, but we saw them take whenever they were taking out like the students like items, they took out her white table. And so it's like the same table seems like, but in two different places. So I'm wondering if maybe her and Kaylee had the same like bedside tables. Maybe they went shopping for college together and they got the same, side tables. But I was going to look them up and see if, I want to look and see if they are the same table before I, show it to you guys. But that one picture that I did pop up, that was Maddie's bedroom. And that was whenever they were finishing so when they went back in and they took down all of the plywood off of the house there for a little bit, and they were doing the rest of they started doing more scans and more like measurements and stuff. That's when all of this stuff, came out. But that's like a hole in her drywall. And then there's another little hole up above. That's where her desk was. So that's chilling. And I know I can find more pictures of this too. So because they had one and it was perfectly white. But then the second one I have, it is white, but it has a red like thing over it. Like a red like cloth. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's taped down. Like to where it probably did have a lot of stuff on it. So I was thinking maybe one came out of Kaylee's room and one came out of Maddie's room. But I'm not sure. I'll find the pictures for tomorrow and I'll pull them up because I want to find them. Like I have the pictures of Maddie's room, but I need to find the picture of them pulling out the chair or the table. Because this is the table I'm talking about. This little white one right here with the legs, the little leggies there. And then this is her desk. And that's the wall where the wall was taken out. Like, sitting at her desk with her pretty flowers. That's so sad. So sad. I had a bunch of pictures. Do you remember those? Like, I had a bunch of pictures. I can't find them anywhere. I'm about to look through my my bookmark things. I'm about to have Vincent help me with that because I don't know how to find. I know how to find like the Idaho 4 content, but I'm just not seeing it. I save so much stuff, and then I don't go and put it into an actual like file. Like you're supposed to when you have like a file, you put it into a. I wish I was OCD about that stuff, but I'm not. So yeah, they did. They built onto that home too. I think they said the first floor was the original. Now I would have guessed that they would have built on the bottom, but I think that the bottom was the original. Like the bottom 2 stories. I think it was I don't know if it was necessarily like a 2-story home or if it was like a bi-level home, but it seems like it was just built better on that side too. I don't know. I do remember the cops when Kaylee was outside during that August, when they came, to say something about the noise, and she came out and then she walked back in maybe to grab something. I don't know. They were just standing out there. And I remember the cop looking up and being like, there's no exit down here. And I know that in Ohio, you have like, if you have a balcony, you have to have like a balcony like that, like a landing like that. You have to have like a way down, you know what I mean? Like all the way down. And you couldn't go all the way down. Hey, Kiwi. Look at that. Kiwi Mate educates Americans. I love your new name. That's so funny. It would have been one small house, yeah. But it was a pretty big house. I mean, with 3 floors, 3 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms. They had a decent sized kitchen. The first 2 stories had washers and dryers in the bathrooms. Fire escape. Thank you, Crystal. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, they were like, where's the he was like looking around and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that. First and second are OG. Okay, that's what I thought. Because I know that the living room is the original. I could tell by the floors that looks like the original living room. That's just, I don't know. It just does. To me anyway. Don't you guys think that looks like the original floors? I don't know. City regulations for rentals. Well, maybe because the principal might have something to do with it since I think his family, owned the home at one point. Isn't that crazy? Oh, dreaming of blue skies. Look at that. Member for 3 months. And look at this. Kiwi Mate's been a member for 7 months. I am doing good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing good. They look tiny. Like when you're when you're in them, like I'm in the corner over here. This is Xana's room. Even in the models, they look tiny. Like that looks like a pretty tiny little room. Like you would have enough for a bed and a dresser. Maybe you could put the dresser in the closet and then you could put like a desk out here. Well, apparently she had a chair. So she had a chair and maybe a desk out in this area. I'm assuming that the chair was like right here. I'm just assuming that. But they do have where you can look at the floor and you can actually like do this gallery. And it kind of shows you how they saw it. So that would have been like the bed. Here's the inside of the room. And then they take the flooring out. Yeah, look, they had their kits were right there, ready to go. I was like, what's that mean? Okay. Oh, I thought that was up. I'm sorry. I thought this was up for you guys. I didn't share my screen. Look at that. Didn't even share my screen with y'all the whole time. Okay, I'll show you this gallery again. Sorry, guys. I've done that twice tonight. It's been a long day, I guess. But this is like the south wall. This is Xana's room. And then this is like inside the bedroom, obviously. And then they take the bed away and then they take the flooring away to where you could see like they didn't have much insulation in there. But we've heard from 2 different people that lived there. One person that lived there, they said that you couldn't hear anybody really. Like if you were on the bottom floor, you might be able to hear the TV on the second floor if it was turned up really, really loud. But then you had someone else that said that they lived there too before, and you could hear everything. So it was like we were getting, no one had their story straight at the time. So it was kind of, we're getting conflicting stories there. But to me, I would think that if you were on the stairs, I would think that you would be able to hear from each level. Those stairs are wood. The bottom floor, I could see that one being more muffled because, like they're on the bottom. But the second and third story, I would think you would hear things a lot more through there. But we'll find out. Rent was like $600, I think, per person or something. $400. Maybe $400, actually. I think I want to say 400 and some. But after, maybe they had to like share. They shared up probably all the common bills. Electricity. They probably had their trash maybe paid for by the landlord. I don't know. Maybe I doubt they paid for trash. Usually don't pay for trash. Sometimes you do, but I don't think they did. College kids think will be responsible for paying no trash bill. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that was worked into their rent. But yeah, I think that's what I got for you for tonight. Your legs go numb too? Mine do too, Princess Elsa. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, Felicia, I think that it was like 400 there. I want to say, I don't know. me see if we can look it up. I thought it was the higher, like, you know, in like around the 400s. Because I thought it was like 20 some hundred for the house each month. I don't know if I can be able to look it up. Let's see. For rent, it was $24.95. Hold on. Yeah, it only gives me from like the last rent for it was from 2020. Let's see if it says it on here. 2,200, 2,300 square feet. So, yeah. And they only lived there like the last, what, year that they were in college, last 2 years, 2 or 3, because they had to stay with their sorority the first year. First and second year, maybe. Guilty of crime, welcome in. Yeah, so 415. Yeah. Pretty little. Man, my parents wouldn't pay for that, I don't think. I don't think they'd be able to. I don't think my parents would have been able to afford that. That's a lot. You think about it, $400 a month. That's a lot of money. Dang, it's a lot. And I mean, if you think about that on top of, I just got done with my student debt is gone. Now I want to take more classes. And I'm like, you are about to be 40. You don't need to be taking no classes. Sit your butt down. I ain't taking no classes. But I kind of thought about it. Like going back and just brushing up some of my stuff. I mean, I have my degree. I could always go back for my master's, I guess. You never know. You never know. I might just come out here one day and be like, hey, we're doing it. But, you know. Let's see if let's see where Travis Decker is. They've caught that son of a gun yet. Probably not. What's this? Oh, never mind. Nothing. Every time I see something about I just think it's something new, and it just reverts back to the same thing. Because I saw all I saw was campground, and I was like, oh, they found his campground. Like in my brain, that went to there, but it wasn't. It was talking about where they were found. But the feds have taken over. Oh yeah, and that was male blood found by the car or at the car. I also thought I read somewhere there was like non-human blood found. So animal blood, but not the dog's. The dog was found in the car. So as far as I know, it wasn't the dog's. But I don't know. Now, I was going to read into this. So, hey, Ashley, you might know this. I know that men that go hunting will put deer urine on themselves to smell like the deer, you know, come to me, baby, like kind of like that. Would they have deer blood or like an animal blood that you would put on yourself to where it could mess up the smell tracking dogs? Like, do you think they could do that to mask human scent? That's what I was thinking, like, right? Okay. That's what I was thinking too. Okay. Man. We used to sell the deer urine when I worked at a sporting goods store, but I don't think we ever had blood there. I don't remember that. I mean, we could have. I just didn't sell it, you know. But that's what I was assuming, that he was using that for. Because I figured if it wasn't the dogs, and if they said they found the dog and the dog, like they didn't make it like it, you know, the dog was hurt or the dog was dead or there was anything with, you know, bad with the dog. So I just assumed it was like a deer, like deer blood went to my mind. But it could be something else up there in Washington. Y'all got probably all kinds of stuff up there. But I mean, that's what came to my mind when I heard that. Yeah, right. You have a new home waiting for you, Decker in hell. He probably did. I think he might have had a car or something. I mean, if he was really going to do this, right? I mean, I guess he wouldn't have a car. He couldn't even afford his RV he had, so that probably he probably didn't have a car. But you think he'd have a plan, like, right? So maybe he is going south. Maybe he is. Maybe he's like, everyone thinks I'm going to go north. I'm going to go south. I know that being, in the military is it's going to do good for him. Yeah, a dirt bike. Yeah. Well, he could be pulling a fast one. I'm not saying, everyone could think he's going that way and he's going the other way, or, they'll find him. I mean, it's been a while, it seems like. I forgot to text my niece back. Look at me over here. Oh. I don't know what I'm looking at. I think I'm looking at the baby. Okay, so today. Now I know who's having it. I knew True Crime Lullabies' daughter was having a baby. Or daughter-in-law. Is it your daughter-in-law? I can't remember now. But I couldn't remember my own niece. I was like, who is the other person? I'm over here. I was racking my brain. And I'm like, but I know somebody. And I'm going to be a great aunt. Is that her baby? Is it like, do they give you like a 3D image of your baby and then like a full like AI baby now? Is that like baby AI? She's probably going to laugh at me. It says that baby AI. Yeah, you're going to be a grandma. Oh. Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, baby daddy's cute. Okay, sorry. I haven't talked to my niece in forever. Wonder if my brother likes him. That's what I should ask. He has kind eyes. Oh, well, good for her. Good for her. She deserves it. My niece is seriously like the best girlfriend ever. Like, she treats her like boyfriends very well. I mean, she really does. They do. They do look just like, oh, that's cute. Okay. Anyway, sorry, guys. But yeah, I haven't seen my niece in like a year or so. I have this is bad great aunt award to me. I still have hungry hippos in my car. It was my niece's Christmas present, and we were going to take them for the night, and we did take them for the night, I think. Or something happened where we ended up not taking them, and I still have hungry hippos. You think she'll still want to play that 4 years later? We're going to try it. I'm over here like, can't even remember who's having a baby, and it's my own people's. We might need to find us a little baby boy name. She doesn't have a name. Ashley. Hey, sometimes I make the guys laugh. The other night I did. I couldn't help it, though. I called bullshit on Kohberger. I was like, no. Hello, Jenna. Well, you guys are joining late. Well, I think I'm going to get off of here now. Oh, Oh, she's this. I'm about to say this baby's due like right around the same time, 2 days after her first baby. Oh, Huckley, that's a cute name. That's a cute name. I like that name. Huh. Or Fisher. Oh, that'd be a cute name too. Huckley is cute. It's different. It's like you could have some cute nicknames with that. Old Hucky. I don't know about that one, but you know, I can find some. That's a cute name. Easton Bentley Maverick. Oh, I don't think there's any of those in the family either, or a Huckley, or a Fisher. That's the problem, right? Is like my niece has 4 other siblings, so there's 5 of them all together. But her mother comes from one of 11 kids, and they all have had like 5 each. Like, so there's a million, and then they've all done. There's just so many. There's so many. So it's like, how do we find out, where do we find the good names? You know, my sister-in-law, they're about to kick her out of the hospital before she named my niece. And she has the craziest name on the platform. Isn't Huckley a cute name? I know. I'm like Huckleberry. I know. I keep saying Huckley. I'm like, I like it. Oh, been watching silently. Your teenage nephew and his girlfriend are expecting. Oh, well. You know what is the good thing about this? The only good thing, DM, and that's the only good thing. There's not really anything, but there's one good thing, is they will be young enough when their kids are at an age to where they can, I don't know. I wish like my mom would have had me a little bit younger in a way. You know what I mean? Like my best friend had her daughter when she was 21. She's 18 now. And like, she's able to give her daughter like all kinds of really nice things, but they're at the same age where they can like still borrow each other's clothes, you know, things like that. My mom still borrowed my clothes though. I will admit that. But my mom didn't have me till she was 33. Tobias, that was my boyfriend's first name. My first boyfriend's name was Tobias. I like that name too. If I told her that, she'd be like, what? Because she would know. I mean, she was little whenever I dated him. She would remember. She knows who he is. Yeah. What we're going to, man. I'm going to think of a cute name. I'm going to think of the name. I got to think of the name. There's like 7 aunts. And there's another Tanya, but her name's Tanya, spelled the same way. I'm like, can't even sign a card, just my first name anymore. Because there's 2 of us. It's okay though. My nephew's name is biblical, I think. No, maybe I lied about that. Whose name is biblical? Oh, Ari. The name of my store. It's supposed to mean like young lion, I think, or something like that. Claude, did you see my AI baby? I got an AI baby. Let me see if I can find her picture. I don't know where it went. I probably don't have it handy. Oh, I do. Because I just think she's the cutest thing in the world. I'm going to show her to you. Okay. Look at my little AI baby that Tammy Clips made me the other day. Now I need her to talk. So I don't know what she's going to say, but I need someone. So you know my profile picture, like my dress, right? The little like striped dress. Look at this baby. She even has on the necklace that I have on. How do they do this? Oh Lord, the husband's here. Tell them we're looking at babies, but they're not real babies. They're AI babies. Ever since I've looked at this baby, I'm over here on Mr. Stat. There he is. I made it. Ever since I've been looking at this little baby, I'm kind of wanting a baby a little bit. The hair, the hand in the hair is what gets me. It's getting me. Oh, this hockey game sucked. We're looking at my baby again. I need her to talk though. Everyone else's little babies talk. There's like a website. I think it's called, who does it? Chroma. Is it Chroma Babies? I think that's who it is. Chroma Babies. If you go under like YouTube, you'll be able to see everybody's. Jay and Granny have a little babies. They talk back and forth, and it's just super freaking adorable because Jay's has dreads. Her little baby has dreads. And I think all the babies look the same though. Like the face of the baby be looking the same. Now I wonder if we could do a part me and a part Vincent AI baby. I bet you we'd be making babies after that. Pete said, peace out. Haha. Oh, good night, Kathy. You love the AI babies? I think they're cute. Yeah, so that's what she sent me, a 4D ultrasound. And I said, oh, she's going to have to pronounce this name to me. I don't. And we'll think about this name thing tonight. What was yours again, Ash? And I want to say Huckleberry, but I know that's not it. Man, these are just cute. These AI babies are out of control. They really are. I want mine to talk though. I want her to say something funny. If you need to go back to my old previous videos or something, go through them. You know, it'd be funny actually, the AI baby to do all my mess ups, because I screw up at least once or twice, 3 or 4 times a night, you know. Now that would be funny. Yeah, the AI Trump baby. That one was pretty funny. I'm gonna have to figure out where they're doing the AI babies, because they look so cute. They really do. I'm about to make her into a dang freaking emoji. She's so stinking cute. Mike's over here still looking at her. I thought that was such a cute idea though. But I'm gonna jump off here. I'm gonna get ready for bed. Now I think her boyfriend's name is, I don't know. I'm about to put this into Google and then I'll let you know. And then we'll work around that. But we don't want anything. She said no Kyrie or no Kyle. So it must be Kynell. Kynell? Kynell. I think that's his name. Kynell. See, I mean, y'all, that ain't, I don't even know if that's right. Y'all have the craziest names. The kids nowadays, they do. They really do. They have the craziest names. My nephew's middle name, Luciano. What? Yeah, exactly. But thank you guys. Oh, Huckley. I'm writing that down. Because I'm going to be like, we can call him this or this. I might steal your name, but you'll never know, you know? I would tell you. I'd say, oh, she took that name. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I'll be back on tomorrow evening. Actually, tomorrow during the day, because we're doing our members live. Whoever wants to come up and show me how to use Discord, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. I would love you forever for that. But it'll just go a lot quicker that way. So we don't have to give ourselves, lessons. Now, someone asked me last night what sunscreen I used, and I forgot to tell y'all. I couldn't tell you because I thought it was in the other room, but it was actually in here. It's called Versed, and it's just a daily sunscreen, SPF 50, and it's really, really thin, and I like that. So thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, and if I don't see you, have a wonderful start to your week. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain. just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.